Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Khatimin nabiyyin, shafi'il mudhnibin, rahmatan lil alameen. Maulana wa sayyidina Abil Qasim Muhammad. Allahumma salli وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض أرواحنا له الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الإمام الكاظم عليه الصلاة والسلام اللهم صل على محمد ليس منا من لم يحاسب نفسه في كل يوم. Respected elders, brothers, sisters, tonight our topic is regarding one of the most common and challenging sins that no matter where you are in the world you are confronted with it, and that is the sin of music. And we come from a culture actually that is very much steeped and surrounded by music. Before we delve into that, allow me just to finish off what we were saying yesterday. We were saying a number of things. We were trying to give a different way of looking at our religion, trying to encourage brothers, sisters to uplift and get out of their comfort zone. So we said yesterday that getting out of your comfort zone is used very much throughout our lives. In business we say get out of your comfort zone, you'll progress. You want a promotion in your job, get out of your comfort zone, do something different, challenge yourself, learn something new, show your employer that you have new skills, you have new abilities, you'll get promoted. In education we say the same thing, get out of your comfort zone, push yourself, turn the B into an A, turn the A into an A star, whatever it is. We keep using this phrase. And yesterday we established that our situation actually today in this community is not a good situation. We have a lot of fragmentation, we have a lot of disunity, we have a lot of arguments, senseless distractions going on in the community. You'll be receiving WhatsApps that such and such said this, and this alim said that, and this controversy was like this, and the Zanjir thing is like this, and the Mendi thing is like that. You'll keep getting bombarded with these things, and these are nothing more than distractions. What the point I was making yesterday was that although these things individually may be very important, there's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, how long are we going to go on to the same track every year being distracted by the same things? Surely there has to be a time when we say, you know what, enough is enough. Let's agree to disagree at the end of the day like every mature person would. And we move on and we establish new things. Because one thing I'll tell you for sure, disunity is killing you. And disunity is killing us, the Shia community. So we said yesterday that getting out of your comfort zone can also apply to religion, can also apply to spirituality. And the thing is that we need to start the journey of moving towards Allah. A conscious, determined, committed niyat, intention to say, you know what, I would like to now embark on a new phase of life. Show me, is this religion what it is that I think it is? In these 20, 30, 40, 50 years that I've been leading my life, or more or less, is this really religion? Because as I said yesterday, Imam Khomeini says something very nice. He says, the difference between me and an animal is I have the potential to become a human being, the animal doesn't have the potential to become a human being. Otherwise, in many things, me and the animal, we are joined. We both like to have a nice place to sleep, we both like to have good food, we both like to reproduce and do all of the other things related to our bodies and our lusts and our desires. So where is the bit where I become a real human being and I separate myself from the animals? This is my humanity, my humanitarian side, the thing that makes me insan. So what things make us insan? Chastity, modesty, sacrifice, generosity, giving up something for someone else, serving other people, helping other people, lowering your own priorities for another person's priority. All of these things, they don't happen in the animal world, they happen in the human world. And that is the understanding of Pul Sirat. Pul Sirat is the bridge of humanity. It has a reality in the hereafter, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it doesn't. But that reality is happening now. Right now we are walking on Pul Sirat. This will just manifest itself in the hereafter when we come to the actual Pul Sirat that is there. Because once we die, هَذِهِ أَعْمَالُكُمْ رُدَّتْ إِلَيْكُمْ. We'll be told, these are your deeds, they have been returned to you. Nothing else. You won't have to pick up my burden, I won't have to pick up your burden. We'll have to pick up our own burden. Allah will say, this is what you did, this is now the reality that you'll have to face. So every time, as a human being, I perform corruption, that's having an impact upon my humanity. Every time I lie, I cheat, I steal, I oppress, I bully someone, I hurt someone, I don't give someone their haqq, I do something against the principles of humanity, then I'm falling off this Pul Sirat, this Pul humanity, Pul insaniyat. And we said one of the best ways to think about this was the story from Janab Sa'di. Sa'di says what? He says that at one point in the journey he was embarking upon towards Makkah, he said, I was so tired, I got exhausted. I said, I'm not moving now, I need to sleep and rest. So the person came and whispered in his ear, and this really lit a fire in him. He said, Haram dar pishas wa harami dar pas. Haram is ahead of you, the bad things are behind you. Agar rafti burdi, agar mandi murdi. If you go and get up and start moving, you'll be victorious. If you stay where you are and stay stagnant, you will lose. Our position is that we are stagnant. Our position is that we are very happy. Pockets are full, food is on the table, I'll pray my namaz, don't expect anything more from me. This is enough. No, it's not enough. Because you will not be held to any account other than Allah saying, you did not fulfill your potential. That's the yardstick that Allah will use in the hereafter. That what was your potential? We expected much more from you, but you fell short. هَذِهِ أَعْمَالُكُمْ رُدَّتْ إِلَيْكُمْ. These are now your deeds. You did them, now take them back. And we said there's a principle, كَمَا تُدِينُ تُدَانُ. What you do will somehow, somewhere be returned to you. You will see it. What goes around, comes around. Absolutely. In Islam we have this principle. Somehow, somewhere what you do will come back to you. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we are actively forming our inner reality, because every deed we do, see, an individual deed here or there, if I do a sin here or there, it's not good. But I can do tawbah and istighfar and I can ask Allah for forgiveness, inshallah it's forgiven. In fact, hadith says that when you do a sin and then you ask for forgiveness and you ask sincerely, then have no doubt. You should not even have a second of doubt that am I forgiven or not. You should say, I'm guaranteed that I'm forgiven because my Lord is so merciful and forgiving. Those are not the issues which are going to come and bite us. What happens is when you perform a bad deed, and again and again and again, and you repeat it, that thing now doesn't act like the single bad deed like before. They now join up. They now join up and they become faculties of the human being. They become a part of you. And that reality that has now become part of you, this is what you'll see on the Day of Judgment. And this is what you'll be judged on. Laha ma kasabat. The soul will have what it has earned, what it has internalized. Not the one-off bad deed here and there, although they are not good, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's okay to do the one-off bad deed. I'm saying that okay, we can get over those. But when they are repeated and the character has been formed, a character which is non-human, non-godly, then we have to worry. Mullah Sadra says something very interesting. He says the number of animals in the hereafter will be more than the number of animals in the world. Why? Because the human beings will not be represented by their human representation, they will acquire animal representations. Because of their inner reality, the inner reality will display itself in an animalistic form, because we're leading animalistic lives. So now, this journey of humanity, this as-suratul insaniya, this image of the human being that we want to cultivate, how do we cultivate this? How do we embark upon this? It needs two things. Number one, it needs a solid determination, which can happen right now, right here. There's no special day to wait for. There's no special time to wait for. It's not that you have to wait for a particular day or time or this or that. Right now, right here, you can make this intention to say, you know what? I am going to now embark upon a new journey and a new phase towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is number one. Number two, which I cannot emphasize enough, haqqun nas. How are you treating people? How are you operating in society? How are you having an impact upon other people? How are you with your parents? How are you with your children, with your spouses, with your fellow human, with your neighbor, with your colleague, with someone above you, with someone below you? How are you with these people? Are you displaying human characteristics? Someone asked one of the imams, I believe, or was it one of the ulama? I cannot quite remember. But anyway, the point is the same. They asked, for example, fishar-e qabr. Fishar-e qabr is what? Squeezing of the grave. Fishar-e qabr, squeezing of the grave. They said, look, we understand fishar-e qabr. But what if someone, for example, gets killed at sea? They dump his body in the sea, don't they? He doesn't get a burial. What if someone, for example, is involved in a terrorist attack? The body is blown to pieces, there's nothing to bury. Then what happens? Do they get fishar-e qabr? I believe it was an imam. He replied that you've got it wrong, you've misunderstood. Fishar-e qabr doesn't need a physical body in a physical grave. Fishar-e qabr doesn't mean that because there's a body, a mayyat, in a grave, that grave is covered, he's got buried, and now fishar-e qabr starts. No. Allah's rule is consistent. Fishar-e qabr is just the term we give to this thing. Otherwise, the torment on the body can happen even in the sea, even to those body parts which have been blown to bits. The soul is the thing that feels these things, not the body in the grave as such. So then why do they have fishar-e qabr? What happens in fishar-e qabr? Fishar, we say squeezing, but actually fishar means pressure. So the ulama say this fishar-e qabr is nothing more than the pressure you have put on other people in your life. The beautiful wife at home you have, but every day you kill her by taunting her and putting her down and saying bad things. She was a flourishing person. You have decimated her through years and years of abuse. The son or daughter you have who have such a high potential, they could have been fantastic people, but because you were a brutish kind of aggressive person, you've put them down and you've bullied them to such an extent that they are finished. The parents you have at home, these loving parents that you owe everything to. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam says, whenever you see anything good in you, give du'as to your father. He is the root. It's come from him. And Ahlul Bayt have said, anytime you feel you have the love of Amirul Mu'mineen in your heart, give du'as to your mother. Because of her, you've got this love of Amirul Mu'mineen. We have these parents, but we treat them like rubbish. We don't listen to them. We shout at them. We slam the door. We say all sorts of things. This is fishar that you're putting on other people. This is the pressure you're putting on other people. You will feel it. You have an employee. You treat him like crap. Because so what? I pay his wages. That means I own him. No. No one owns him. No one owns another person. فَقَدْ جَعَلَكَ اللَّهُ حُرًّا, Amirul Mu'mineen says. Never come under the ownership of someone else. Allah has created you hur, free. Azadi and freedom is a big thing in Islam. Do you know we are not allowed to come under anyone's ownership? We are not allowed to be dominated by any system, really. Our only owner is Imam Zaman. When he comes, he owns us, no problem. Heart and soul and body and everything for you, O Imam. Apart from that, no, we don't recognize any power. So this fishar, the qabr and these things is nothing more than the manifestation of the things we are doing in this world. How do you treat your spouse? A woman gets married to a husband. The husband is working all hours of the day to provide for his wife. She manipulates him and she puts him down and she twists things and she makes his life hell. That's another fishar. She will face the consequences. All of us are not paying attention to these things. We are allowing ourselves to slip into animalistic behaviors, bullying, dominating, manipulating, bribing, threatening. You dare do this, this is what I'll do. You do that and you'll see what I do. This is wrong. So these things are realities. These things are damaging our humanity. And when our humanity gets damaged, a very sad thing happens. Our religion's image gets tarnished. The religion, people will say, he's a follower of Amirul Mu'mineen. What kind of person was Amirul Mu'mineen if his follower is like this? Don't they say that today anyway? Don't they cast all sorts of aspersions on our beloved Prophet because of the way his followers, so-called followers, are? Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam says, I'm not happy for you to be called my Shias if you are in a town and anyone else there has better akhlaq than you. You should have the best akhlaq because your teachers are the best. We have taught you. We have given you so many sayings. One of the amazing things about Karbala, we keep saying, we keep banging the drum that Imam Hussein saved Islam. I'll challenge anyone to do a tafsir of this sentence. What do you mean he saved Islam? How did he save Islam? People will struggle with this. I'm sorry to say, we hear it every year, we say it, that Imam Hussein saved Islam. How? In the time of Imam Hussein and Imam Hassan, no one was even going to them. There was an incident. Ibn Abbas and Imam Hussein alayhi salam were standing. A man comes and asks a question to Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas says, don't ask me, ask him. He is the grandson of Rasulullah. He is the Imam. The man said, this guy, who is he that I should ask him? They didn't even know Ahlul Bayt. They didn't even value Ahlul Bayt. Just look 2 generations later, Imam Muhammad Baqir, Imam Jafar Sadiq's lessons on Islam were full of thousands of people. This is how Imam Hussein saved Islam. He reinvigorated Islam. He pulled people back from the clutches of Bani Umayyah into the grasp of Bani Hashim again. Otherwise, what kind of Islam do we have today? People pick up the Quran and say, I can justify rape of women. People pick up the Quran and say, I can justify killing of tribes. People pick up the Quran and say, because of this verse, because their leaders and those people that they take information from, so-called, they justified these things. What Islam do we have? Islam is asir. Hajj is asir. Prison is a prisoner. It's been hijacked. The fact that Imam Hussein alayhi salam left Makkah, left at the time of Hajj, the peak time, the hot days of Hajj, the days when Hajj is about to start, he leaves Makkah. People tell him, Ya Aba Abdullah, at least do Hajj and go. They didn't understand. They didn't understand that without the Imam in Makkah, what Hajj? You're willing to do Hajj of the Kaaba but kill the real Kaaba in Masjidul Haram? Imam Hussein is the real Kaaba. So, this religion that we have, we need to really think. This is the religion of humanity. This is the religion of feelings for other people. Feelings. how Islam wants us to train and nurture our feelings. I don't think I've even touched on this yet this year. Maybe I won't have time, I'm not sure. But the training of how to get in touch with your feelings. I'm not talking about emotions. Emotions are a different thing. Forget emotions for a moment. Emotions can either be good or bad, it depends. If your intellect rules your emotions, it's good. But if your emotions rule your intellect, it's bad. Feelings, compassion, mercy, humanity. One of the ashab of our first Imam, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, says we used to go with Amirul Mu'mineen into the streets. How he used to pick up the orphans. How he himself used to put his hand into the food. How he used to pick up the food with his own hand. How he used to feed the mouth of the orphan with his own hand. When we saw his kindness towards the orphans, we said, we wish we were the orphans to be fed by Ali like this. Feelings, humanity, kindness, mercy. What religion is this? It's an amazing religion. It'll turn us into angels. But yet we're happy to live the lives of animals. Islam says everything will be returned to you. Whatever you do, هَذِهِ أَعْمَالُكُمْ رُدَّتْ إِلَيْكُمْ. Be very careful. Everything you do, everything is very, very much in a hisab with God. It's a precise hisab. He will leave no stone unturned. Everything you do, you will have to face the consequence. A man will appear on the Day of Judgment. Now, for example, you've seen, for example, in, when someone is shot, for example, how the blood spurts back onto the face. Yeah, you've seen, yeah? One person shoots another person, the blood kind of spurts back onto the face. A man will appear on the Day of Judgment. He'll appear with half his face bloodshot, with those streaks of blood. He'll say, Khudaya, what is this? How can I appear in front of people with this kind of face? He will be told, you killed someone. He said, no, I never killed anyone. He said, no, those words you spoke, they went from ear to ear and mouth to mouth, and they were passed along. It resulted in someone's death. Everything has a hisab. Everything is very precise. Everything will be returned to you. There's nothing that Allah will leave out. So therefore, as I was saying yesterday, this dirt that we have accumulated inside of ourselves, it has to be emptied. It has to be got rid of. It has to be expelled. Why? Because when it's so dirty inside, your container is full of dirt. There's no more room for Allah to fit now. In all of that dirt, where will Allah go? The angels of Allah, the nur of Allah, the ma'rifat of Allah, the mercy of God, where will it go? If there's one thing we would like to take away from the Majalis of Imam Hussain alayhi salam this year, it is the training of our feelings. Why recite this Masaib every night? Let's just recite it on Ashura. Ashura is when everything happened. No. To make the heart compassionate, to soften the heart. Why remember Imam Hussain alayhi salam every week? Why we have this brilliant tradition of Ziyarat-e-Warisa? Why we have Masaib all year round? Why? To train those feelings. Don't forget. The way Imam Hussain alayhi salam was successful is that he earned the identity card of being a Mazloom. It's his Mazloomiyat that has got us here today. It is him having withstood oppression that we are here today. Yazid, Umar Sa'd, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, they all thought, we've done it. We have done something that no one else could do. We have crushed Bani Hashim. We have buried them in the ground. Imam Hussain replied, you cannot bury us. You may trample my body, you may raise my head on a spear, you may take my sisters in chains, but you can't bury us. We will come back. And they did come back. Before long, Yazid was out of power. Before long, Bani Umayyah fell. Before long, Imam Sadiq and Imam Muhammad Baqir had thousands of students in the mosque learning from them. These ahadith that we have, do you know we have more ahadith from Imam Jafar Sadiq than all the other Imams combined? This is the fruit of the movement of Abu Abdullah. Why? Insaniyat, humanity, feeling, compassion. People can't bear to think what happened in Karbala. They can't bear to think that this was something reality that happened there. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. One more salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, how do we begin this journey? So the first step was, I told you, you need to make a resolve, an intention, a commitment that, okay, from now on I'm doing things differently. Secondly, on a practical level, this is from the advice of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam. Laysa minna man lam yuhasib nafsahu kulla yawm. He is not of my Shias, the one who does not account himself every day. Every day. This is called muhasabah. This means very simple. Muhasabah is one of the easiest things to do. Just like when you run your business or you go to your job, at the end of the day you will think, what did I achieve today? Right? We're business people, right? So we always think this. What did I achieve today? Did I gain? Did I lose? I made a deal here, but I lost there, but I made a profit here, but I may have lost a bit there. We do that totaling up in our minds every day. Imam says, do the same thing for your deeds. And these days it's so easy. Because these days you pull out your smartphone, you can even set an alarm to remind you. If you go to sleep at, midnight, set it for 11:30. Muhasabah alarm. Spend 10 minutes going through your day. What have I done today? What did I say to people? How did I speak? How did I behave? Did I pray on time? Did I remember God? Was I faithful to my family, my covenants, my contracts? Did I hurt anyone? You do this every single day. Very easy. 10 minutes a day. So Imam says, فَإِنْ أَمِلَ خَيْرًا إِسْتَزَادَ اللَّهِ. When you see something in this list of your daily activities that was good, then you say to Allah, oh Allah, thank you for giving me the tawfiq to do this and make me able to do this more. You gave charity. Say to Allah, I want to do more. Give me more, I'll do more. Then you actually have to do it, yeah, by the way. Give me more, I'll do more. Give me more tawfiq. Give me more opportunity. وَإِنْ عَمِلَ شَيْئًا شَرًّا اسْتَغْفَرَ اللَّهِ. And when you see that in that list of things that you've done on the day, there's something bad, ask for forgiveness. Say, Allah, I'm sorry. This was not right. I realize now. I realize. Maybe in the heat of the moment I didn't realize. But now I realize. Now I have a cold mind and I'm at rest and I'm at peace. I can look back. I realize this was wrong. Please forgive me. I'll try my best not to do it again. وَتَابَ إِلَيْهِ. And repent. Repentance must be done all the time. Because we are always sinning and we don't even know. Our eyes are sinning, we don't even know. Our ears sin, we don't know. Our thoughts are sometimes sinning, we don't know. These are all now automatic responses because we've left ourselves on autopilot for too long, and therefore now it's just a way of life, it's just natural. We don't even have a handle on it anymore. So istighfar and thanking Allah at the end of the day. Set an alarm, do something, it's very easy, it's not difficult. This is one of the best things to start. Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, Hasibu anfusakum qabla an tuhasabu. Take account of yourselves before an account is taken of you. Again, business people, you remember in your businesses, when the tax year comes around, do you really want the taxman to look into your books? Or it's better you look into your books first and make sure everything is in order? This is the message from Amirul Mu'mineen. Before account is taken of you, you take your own account. So you set your affairs in order. You make sure things are right. When you appear in front of Allah, there's there's no surprises. There's no unresolved issues. You have resolved everything, you've set things aright, you've asked for forgiveness, and then you can move forward. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Inshallah, we can speak more about these kind of things in the next couple of lectures. Tonight, the lecture actually is regarding one of those evils that we are surrounded by, sort of all around us. You step into a shop, there's music. Turn on the TV, there's music. Turn on the radio, most likely there'll be music. All around you, your friends are listening to music. Could be your family members are listening to music. All around you, it seems that this thing has just become a natural thing. You go into your social media, you can't avoid it, music. Even, I hate to say this, it pains me to say this, I don't want to say this, but I have to address this. Even these days, religious things are surrounded by music. So we're going to have a quick discussion on these things. So first of all, we have lots and lots of worldly research. This is not my topic, but I will just mention it as I pass by. Worldly, scientific research on music. You can do a search. Just type in your search engine, the evils of music or scientific research on music. You'll see some very disturbing things. Like what? Number one, they've said that music leads to violence, especially certain types of music. Certain types of music, because of the background they come from, they are inherently violent. Inherently, they talk about guns, shooting, killing, gangs, etc., etc., etc. They've linked real life things back to people's musical habits. So number one, the worldly research suggests music leads to violence. Number two, very disturbing, sexualization of children. Children not ready, not mature enough, but they are bombarded with these messages. The way the singers and the pop groups dress, behave, gesture, gesticulate, these are all very suggestive. If you don't believe me, then I'm sorry, I think you're living in cuckoo land. It's there. You can't really deny it. Big time sexualization of the younger generation. Big time making them think above their age, way above their age, about things that they shouldn't really be thinking about. Number three, drug use. Again, depending on the genre of music, the category of music, the background of this type of music, drug use. Number four, something that you guys have seen here in this country, rape culture. The culture of rape, the culture of women are nothing, they're just objects of sex. They're just objects for which men can achieve their base desires. They have no value. They're out alone somewhere in a field. Do what you want. Rape culture. And more. I don't want to go into it because it's not really my topic. I want to focus on more the Islamic side of things and the spiritual side of things. But these are the worldly things coming our way regarding music. Okay, what about the Islamic view? Quran says, people say, is music mentioned in the Quran? You see, these kinds of questions are not helpful. Okay? Let me tell you something about the Holy Quran with salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Quran is a book revealed 1,400 years ago, and it's going to last until the Day of Judgment, correct? Until the end of time. Quran cannot use extremely explicit language, otherwise it'll be very easy for people to say, well, that thing doesn't exist anymore, so the ayat doesn't apply anymore. It uses slightly ambiguous language from time to time, so that it forces us to keep reinterpreting this holy scripture. So sometimes people say, is hijab mentioned in the Quran? Hijab, I think, is tomorrow our topic. Is hijab mentioned in the Quran? It depends what you want. If you want a diagram of a woman wearing a chadar and scarf, then no. It's not like that. It's not like force feeding you it has its hints, its allusions, its subtleties, the way it is described. Then you have to do a bit more work and say, how do I interpret this properly? And why does that happen? Because then we will always be linked with the people who are the true interpreters of the Holy Quran. Ahlul Bayt. Lan yaftariqa. They will never be separated. Quran and Ahlul Bayt will never be separated. Why? You can't access the Quran without Ahlul Bayt. Why we have the problems we have today in the wider Muslim world is because of this. They've left the door of the Ahlul Bayt, they've gone to the door of other people, and they're in a mess. Alhamdulillah, until now I think we are pretty good in this situation. We are pretty good in this situation. But the issue is becoming more and more dangerous actually. Because now even within, we have multiple diverted interpretations. But again, I don't want to get diverted myself, so I'll stick to my topic. Quran mentions music in a different way. Ulama are united on this, that this verse applies to music. Let me see what you think. Fajtanibur rijs, Allah says, avoid the abomination of minal awthan, idols. Wajtanibu qawla zur, and avoid false speech. False speech, qawl az-zur, very broad term. Many things can come into this. One of the things that can come into qawl az-zur, false speech, is music. Ulama are absolutely united on this, that music is a definite example of qawl az-zur, false speech. Now, what makes music haram? Someone will say, well, I enjoy music, makes me feel good, makes me relaxed, makes me happy. Why can't I be happy? Why do we have to have such a doom and gloom, boring religion, doesn't allow any fun, doesn't allow any happiness? No. Islam wants maximum happiness for everybody, but not at the cost of your ethics and your humanity. To be a true human being, you can't always just look at happiness and joy and pleasure. Otherwise, again, animalistic life. Islam wants you to look at things differently. So Islam says, Quran says, ijtanibu, stay away from qawlu zur, false speech. Now in music, there are two things that we need to discuss. One is the voice being used, right? Songs basically are two things. There's a person's voice which is singing the lyrics, and there are musical instruments which are going along with it. Correct? One is called ghina, the first one, the actual voice which is being sung. The actual voice which is singing the lyrics is called ghina. Ghina. G-H-I-N-A. Ghina. And then you have the music. Now what is ghina? Ghina, very simply, is the method of singing in a particular way where, for example, the voice is stretched, is the tone, the volume, the pitch of the voice changes into something which sounds good. This is ghina. Okay? This is ghina. But it is that kind of singing and that kind of voice and that kind of stretching which is commonly used in places of sin and amusement and entertainment. So we have right now, throughout the world, in every country, we have places which are solely for people to go and waste time. They're not really achieving anything else. It's purely wasting time, and those places take you away from the remembrance of God. They make you heedless. They make your mind absent from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like what? Someone give me an example. Discotheque. Another example. Ji? YouTube. Well, we'll come on to that actually. But actually the place. Let's consider the place. Cinema is a contentious one, but okay. Discos, dances, raves, pubs, clubs, nightclubs, parties, dance halls, all of these are places, obviously, when you put them against Islamic teachings, you'll say these are haram. Non-mahram mixing, wasting of time, God is not remembered, it makes you just lose yourself. Alcohol is usually being consumed, drugs are usually being taken, men and women are very free with one another. All of this is going on. Put it against the teachings of Islam, there's no doubt that you'll say this is haram. Now, there are particular types of ghina. At the moment, ghina, only ghina at the moment. We'll come on to music, the melody, the instrument in a minute. Just the ghina, the type of singing used, is obvious. I don't want to spell it out, but it's obvious. We know the kinds of music and singing used, ghina used in these places. Now, anything which is that or like that becomes haram. Okay? Clear? Ghina is that kind of stretching of the voice with the intonation and the change of pitch and volume, etc., which is singing. That singing which is used in places of haram, time wasting, heedlessness of God, that thing becomes haram. Now, here is where it becomes very tricky. Let's say I recite a noha in that tune. What is the ruling? Haram. Noha. For Imam Hussein, I am reciting Noha Qurbatan ilallah. No, not on that tune. Not allowed. Because that ghina has become synonymous with those types of gatherings. Therefore, even other things done in that tune is not allowed. So ghina is absolutely haram. To sing it is haram. To hear it is haram. Someone may say, I will just sing it. I'll just sing it. No one's listening to me. I'm sure we have many good, not singers, I'll say reciters who do it in the shower. You know, that's where people usually, you hear them reaching all types of high notes and low notes. But it's haram because you're imitating that. Whatever your niyat is, see, at the moment we're not talking about niyat, we're talking about just plain facts. That's haram. To sing it, to hear it is haram. That is ghina. Now music. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now to understand music, we have to look at it from a broader sense. Music has two aspects. Music, they say, look at it from two angles. One is the angle of lahu. Lahu. What is lahu? Someone tell me. Sort of time wasting, heedlessness, absence of remembrance of God. Similar to what we said in ghina. Lahu is a term that means basically idle, to be heedless of God, things of sin. This is lahu. So does that music have a lahwi aspect? In other words, is it also suitable for those places of amusement, sin, time wasting, etc.? And the second thing, mudil. Mudil, very important. What about the lyrics of that music? The lyrics which are being spoken, what are they? Are they spiritual things, godly things, philosophical things? Of course not. They are mainly to do with love, romance, sex, violence, drugs, materialism, materialistic lifestyle, all not compatible with Islam. So they are classed as mudil. They deviate. They misguide. Okay? So you have to look at two things now. The music itself, the drum, the instrument, etc. And the lyrics you have to look at as well. Now, when you look at this, look at what the Quran says. The Quran says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ. Among the people is one who buys diversionary talk. that he may lead people astray from Allah's way. The Quran is saying that these things, don't just think, oh, it makes me happy, it makes me feel good. No. In that there is something that leads you astray from the way of Allah. Because you switch off your senses, you get very calm, you don't think about anything else. No, this is not how a human should be. Human should not be just switched off and everything. He has to be much better than this. So lahu and mudil. So now the ulama, they say that there are certain signs of this type of music. The signs are, I've come up with 6, there could be more. Number 1, without realizing, your body starts to move. Subconscious is having an effect on you straight away. You're not in control anymore. Number 2, it arouses sexual desires. Again, there's no doubt. Look at the clothing being worn, look at the gestures, look at the image, look at how they want to portray. There's no doubt. Number 3, the environment in which it is used is synonymous with unethical things, haram things, sinful things. Number 4, the lyrics are against Islamic things. Number 5, the melody is very distracting. Number 6, the images that are portrayed along with it are sexist, misogynist, show women in a bad light, show women just can be used to satisfy the desires, show women as cheap objects. These are all coming into this discussion. Now, let's make it even more clear. If it's not clear already, we'll make it even more clear with the actual fatwas of Sayyid Sistani, Hafadhahullah, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Music that is permissible is the music that does not entail that which is used in entertainment and such gatherings. Forbidden music is music that is suitable for entertainment and amusement gatherings. If someone says, this is still Agha's words, the expression, the music or song that is suitable for entertainment and amusement does not mean that the music or the song's tune amuses the heart or changes the mental state. That's not the criteria. The expression means that when the person listens to this music or the song's tune, he can distinguish that yes, this sounds like the music used in these haram places. Now, what about you walk into a shop, you want to buy something, and there's music being played. Then what happens? You go to a theme park, you go, I don't know, you may step into a lift, you may go to many places, music is being played. Now what happens? Are we not allowed to go there or what? There's a difference here. If you're not paying attention to the music and your mind is not on the music, for example, you've gone to do shopping, for example, and the music is being played, but you're hardly noticing it, or you're oblivious to it, or you're not heeding it, or you're not listening to it, then it's fine, you can be there. But the moment you begin to listen carefully, derive pleasure, then it becomes haram. Right now, you're sitting somewhere, someone's doing ghibat nearby, all you can hear is someone is talking, you don't know it's ghibat. You can just hear voices. Yeah, once you start to listen and you actually say, they're talking about such and such, then it becomes a problem. Otherwise, noise is just noise. So if it's at the level of noise, you're okay. Once you start to listen, enjoy, and start to understand and whatnot, then it becomes a problem. Then Sayyid Sistani, he gives a few ahadith. Now listen to these ahadith. First one from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The person with the sin of ghina will be raised on the day of resurrection blind, deaf and dumb. Remember what I said? Kama tudinu tudan. What you do will be returned to you. Here you enjoyed listening, there you will be deaf. You will be raised blind, deaf and dumb. He also said, whoever listens to the entertainment, songs and music, lead will be melted inside his ear on the day of judgment. And then he says something very interesting. Singing and music are the stepping stones for adultery. Now, look at that. Very interesting. He's linking other sins to the sin of music and singing. Exactly what we were saying before, that it lowers your level of God consciousness. It lowers your boundaries. It lowers your attention to God. It somehow makes you less conscious of what you're doing. You feel relaxed and laid back. Well, that's the opportune moment for your soul or for shaitan to strike. Because now you're off your guard. So this seems to be the sentiment of the Holy Prophet. Now, another thing. What about, is there a difference between listening to male voices and female voices? This is also an issue, but I will leave that in suspense for tomorrow, inshallah. We'll cover that when we discuss hijab. Hence, there's so many fatwas, I don't want to go through all of them. There are 4 main criteria that Agha sets out. He says the following is to do with music. 4 things to bear in mind. All of that long discussion now summarized in 4 points. Number 1, it should not be ghina. Number 2, should not be suitable for the places of amusement and wasting time and sin. Number 3, the content and lyric should not be against the teachings of Islam. Number 4, if there's another gender, not another gender, a woman singing, then for a man it becomes haram to listen. I'll explain more tomorrow about that. That has a few interesting things. When you talk about hijab, we'll also talk about that. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, so what is halal then? Is there anything such as halal music? Of course, there are some things. Things like I can't speak for this country, but okay, back home for example, the intro music to the news and this kind of thing. I think that's halal, because that's not in those kinds of melodies and tones, etc. Right? Things like that. Army related, they are generally allowed. You know, the beating of the drum for the army to march, etc., etc. Those things are allowed. Natural sounds. These days people, they swear by this, that you put on the natural sounds of the world like water and birds singing, and of course these are fine. Other than that, what if you come across a situation where you're not sure? Is this not? I'm not sure. What should I do? I would say just do ihtiyat. Just take precaution. It's not the end of the world if you don't listen to it. All the ulama will advise you that in this categorization of music, it's difficult to always draw a definite red line between what is and what is not allowed. When you're not sure, do ihtiyat. Don't bother. Leave it aside. Say, you know what, I'll take precaution. I will not put myself into that position. Who is there to tell you? This is something that pains me. They say, Maulana, listen to this and tell us, is it halal or haram? If it's haram, then you put me into big trouble. So don't do that. That's one of the worst things. Our job, or the ulama's job, is to give you the boundaries and rules. Now you have to use your brain and decide where to draw the line. And like I said, always go on precaution. Don't take a risk. There's no benefit really. Inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Tonight we remember such a great personality, such a great individual. He is someone that when you hear his name, immediately there are some adjectives which come in our mind. Loyalty, bravery, courage, unflinching support, strength, warrior, alamdar, standard bearer, flag bearer, protector of Zainab, protector of Janab Sakina, protector of Kulsum. Of course, tonight is the night when we remember Qamar Bani Hashim, the great brother of Imam Hussein, the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the pride of Bani Hashim. The one, when he was there, everyone felt safe. Do you know the women could not have thought that Sham-e Ghariba would happen as long as our uncle and our brother Abbas is there? Their hopes, their dreams and everything were vested in this one man. From the time of leaving Medina till the time of arrival into Karbala, up until the day of Ashura, the children of Imam Hussein, Janab Sakina included, must have thought, we don't need to worry. Our uncle is there. We don't need to worry about anything. He has served us his whole life. He will continue to serve and protect us. Alas, the day of Ashura, Aba Abdullah, in front of his eyes, sees so many of his beloved ones killed. Brings them one by one back into the tents. Cries over them. The women cry over them. One person he reserves. This person, Janab Abbas, keeps coming to Aba Abdullah. Oh my Imam, oh my Mawla, can you give me permission? Let me go. Imam says, no Abbas, not yet. You are my standard bearer. You are the head of my armies. You are my sister's protector. You are my daughter's hope. I cannot allow you to go. Again and again Janab Abbas comes to Imam Hussein and asks for permission. Again and again Aba Abdullah refrains from giving him the permission. Now it has come to a time when there's no one left. Now Janab Abbas comes and says, Mawla, you have told me no the whole day, but now I cannot take it. Sakina's cries for water are killing me. Sakina's cries for water are killing me. Mawla, give me permission. Let me go and try. Imam says to him, Abbas, if I let you go, then it is with the condition that you do not fight. Try to get the water and come back quickly. Janab Abbas says, Mawla, of course, whatever you say. He goes, he rides with a spear, they say. He goes and rides to the river Furat. He reaches Furat. He gets into Furat. He gets down into Furat. He fills the water skin with water. When he looks back across the plain of Karbala, what does he see in the tent of Aba Abdullah? He sees Sakina standing there, saying to the other children, look, I told you my uncle will bring water. I told you my uncle will bring water. Janab Abbas takes the water in his hands. He begins to ride back. Umar Saad announces, under no condition can we allow him to reach back with the water for them. Under any circumstance, bring him down. They begin to attack Janab Abbas from all sides. They begin to fire arrows upon him. They begin to come out from behind trees to ambush him. He fights them all off. He has one target in mind, which is to deliver the water to Janab Sakina. He rides and rides. All of a sudden from one side he's attacked with such ferocity. They cut one arm of Janab Abbas. He manages to transfer the water to the other arm. They come from the other side. They cut the other arm of Janab Abbas. Somehow he transfers the water to his teeth. He now has it in his mouth. He's still looking at his destination, the tent of Aba Abdullah, the tent of the children of Aba Abdullah. He thinks he can make it, but then they hurl all types of things at him. People who have spears, they throw spears. People who have stones, throw stones. People who have arrows, they throw arrows. These arrows land in the holy body of Janab Abbas, and slowly but surely he comes down from the horse. But you know, one of the Zakirin used to always recite the Masaib of Hazrat Abbas. One day he recited the Masaib. After that night, he went to sleep. In his dream, he sees Janabe Fatima. She says to him, you prayed very nicely, but there was one thing you did not recite. You must recite this. He says to her, Bibi, I recited everything I know. What was left in the Masaib of Hazrat Abbas? She says, you must recite that when my son fell from the horse, he had no arms to shield him. He fell straight onto the plain of Karbala. Janabe Abbas falls straight down onto the plain of Karbala. When he is there, he now is in his last moments. He cries out, Adarikini ya Mawla ya Aba Abdullah, O Aba Abdullah, O Mawla, come to the help of your slave, your servant. Imam Hussain alayhi salam comes with great speed to the side of Janabe Abbas. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, what scene does he see when he arrives? Here is my brother, the moon of my army, my standard bearer, my hope, my last hope. Here he is in the sand. How beautifully the poet has said in Persian. He says, at that moment Janabe Abbas must have thought to himself, Mawla, there's never been a day when you have come to me and I did not stand up for your respect, but today I cannot stand up. Mawla, whenever I felt pain, I would just hug you with my arms, but today I have no arms to hug you. Mawla, whenever I wanted to see your face, I would look at your beautiful face, but today there is an arrow in my eye. I cannot see you, Mawla. Imam tends to his brother for the last time. When Janabe Abbas's soul leaves this world, Imam Hussain stands up. The people who write the history, they say something very strange. They say, until that moment, we used to look at Hussein, and to us, he used to seem like a young man, full of health, full of vigor. But after Abbas died, when Hussein stood up, we heard something from the tongue of Hussein. We heard him shout in Karbala, Al-an in kasarat dhahri. Now my back has been broken. I have lost my Abbas. Allah rahmatullahi al-qawmi al-zalimin. Wa sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyuhum qalbiyyan. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim. For all marhumin, Suratul Mubarak al-Fatiha.